Welcome to the Truth About Real Estate Investing show for Canadians. I'm Erwin Cito, four-time Realtor of the Year to real estate investors in Ontario, 20-year landlord since 2005, and owner of 8 Hamilton rentals. Right now, I have 2 tenants who owe me rent for a combined 19,000. Actually, now it's higher. One missed August rent, so now we're tracking at about almost $22,000 rent I'm being owed, plus 6,000 in arrears for air conditioning repairs. Um, and conveniently, those 2 properties that needed the air conditioning repairs were for the properties that were those tenants that owe me rent live. So on top of that, I got $2,000 worth of paralegal fees. Anyways, real estate investing has to be easier. It's still, in my opinion, the best investment class. It's just that Ontario probably isn't the place to do it. In my opinion, Canada isn't the place to do it either. Anyways, on this show, I bring you strategies, stories, and experts to help bring you wealth, avoid costly mistakes, such as investing in tenant-friendly places, and to reach financial freedom faster. In Canada, in the US, or beyond, let's get started. This show is titled Painting for Profit, Maximizing Renovation ROI for Investors. This week on the Truth About Real Estate Investing show for Canadians, I'm joined by Brian Young, who's an old friend of mine. He's the founder and CEO of House Painters Toronto, ranked by AI and plenty of happy customers as the #1 house painting company in the city of Toronto. Brian launched his business back in 1987 as a York University student and has since grown it into a multi-million-dollar operation with over 30 employees, completing 700 plus homes a year, and that's more than 17,000 houses he's painted, along with other renovations that he's done. Known for his lightning fast turnaround, high quality workmanship, and unique ability to integrate painting, handyman, and carpentry services under one roof, Brian has become the go-to contractor for Toronto homeowners, realtors, and real estate investors looking to maximize property value. Full disclosure, Brian painted my own rental property. And it's funny, I didn't really understand why he quoted what he quoted, why he cut certain things out, but it all makes a lot more sense after doing this interview. Now, in this episode, Brian shares insider tips on which renovations deliver the highest ROI, which return on investment, common mistakes investors make when hiring trades, and the systems that helped him 8x his business while cutting back on his work hours. If you're preparing a property for sale or rent, or just want to learn how a master operator runs a highly profitable service-based business, you won't want to miss this conversation. Now, as an extra bonus, if you want to learn more or get a free quote, go to homepainterstoronto.com. Again, that's homepainterstoronto.com. Please enjoy the show. Hi, Brian. What's keeping you busy these days?
Just painting away. It's a busy season, July. Can't complain.
That's fantastic. Because you and I are friends,
Yeah.
and because your business is heavily tied to real estate, I often ask you how is business, because that's an extension of me asking how the market is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you
So
actually, for people who don't know, can you explain that how your painting business, your home painting business, is tied to the real estate market?
yeah, I'd say at least half of our clients, sometimes even more, especially this time of year, during the summer months, are extremely tied to buying and selling. And the reason why is because when people buy, usually they want to paint the place or fix a bunch of stuff before they move in, and then they want to sell. They need to fix it up, stage it, get their biggest bang for their buck when selling their house. So those are the best clients for me because they tend to want it done quickly, efficiently, fast, speed, quality. It all kind of ties in. Then that's our unique ability in terms of our mandate at Home Painters Toronto. So it plays in my hand. And the other thing is a lot of handyman stuff comes up. A lot of people will go years with, let's say, a broken door handle and just live with it and learn how to open it a certain way. And then when they want to sell it, obviously they want to fix it so it's functional. So we specialize in that as well. And it's really hard to find like carpenters and handymen that'll do small jobs, and we specialize in that. And we can get it all done under one umbrella, and we're extremely quick. So that's really important. So that's why the real estate market really, when it suffers, I suffer a little bit. And so this year we've been down. definitely. But we found other ways to market and to reinvent ourselves, especially online. So that's been working out well. And when the market does come back, which eventually will, then we look forward to uh, taking advantage of that as well.
Now, according to ChatGPT, you're the number one house painting company in Toronto. But I want to ask you, tell us a bit about yourself and your business.
Sure. So I started as a university student back in 1987, first year university at York. And I didn't even know painting like anything about it or anything, but I just wanted, my dream was always to run a business, period. Seeing my dad growing up, um, working in his business, and I didn't know it was going to be painting, like I said, but I just wanted to run a business. And my friend who did it the year before said, Brian, check this out. I was like, painting. I actually kind of laughed at him. I said, who the hell would want to run a painting business in 87? And yeah. And then the year later, I was like, oh, wow, you made some pretty good money. I'm going to try doing this. And lo and behold, a year later, I was one of the rookies of the year. And next year later, I was in the top three in sales in the company. So one thing led to another. And then when I graduated from York University around 1990, I wasn't working. I didn't have a job. So, and I was good at painting. So I said, why not just keep going, doing what I'm doing and running a business? And 37 years later, here I am.
Yeah, and here you are. Just for listeners to know, you have something like 30 subcontractors, and
Yeah.
you do somewhere around 3 million in revenues.
Yeah, we're 30 plus, and we actually mostly employee based company, and we do hire subs for specific jobs. For the most part, hourly guys, and we have three. Well, it depends on the year. This year will be a little lower, but between 3 and 4 million in sales. We complete, give or take, around 700 homes a year, and so we're really proud about that. 17,000, over 17,000 in the last 37 years. We've obviously started small, started with 6 painters, and now we're over 30. So I basically tell my customers I'm doing the same thing I did 37 years ago, just more of it and more efficiently and more productively and better quality.
I think you're underselling underselling it. I've sat in your marketing calls, and the sophistication level is incredible.
Yeah,
Um, and that's coming from me, like from my wife and I, we consider ourselves marketers as well.
yeah.
But yeah, you are really good at what you do.
Well, interesting enough. Like by trade, I'm a painter. Like I see myself as a painter, but I was struggling for about give or take 20 years because back in the day we used to cold call. That was the number one way that we used to market to our clients and lawn signs. And then over the years, obviously the internet came in, websites, online, social media, etc. So I had to reinvent myself. And long story short, I struggled for a long time marketing the business. And in 2011, basically, I was knocking on a door. Customer was upset at me interrupting his dinner, gave me a shot, punch in the face, and that was my kind of wake up call that I have to stop cold calling and start marketing the more, let's say, the more sophisticated modern way, which is websites online. Now it's social media and um, review websites. So anything online, digital, that's my specialty now. So I kind of had to reinvent myself as a, let's say, a marketer, not a painter. And now I see myself as both, but painter first and marketer second.
So again, I want the listeners to understand, like Brian is a successful guy. um, and from my experience of knowing lots of real estate investors, you make more money than most real estate investors. And I personally know a lot of real estate investors who are looking more toward the business side now.
Right.
Um, so I'm speaking to the real estate investor. You know, most of us in Ontario are looking for like 5 cap rate, 6 cap rate, even 4 cap rate, meaning in the accounting term as gross margin, profit margin. Uh, and my understanding is a generality is that businesses have a much higher margin rate or cap rate, as we real estate investors call it, usually 12% and up, which is the reason why I know a lot of real estate investors are now pivoting towards owning businesses. And you're living to because we're friends. To me, you're like a living example of the benefit and the improved cash flow of having a business.
Mhm.
Like for example, you are a real estate investor as well. This is a real estate investing show. Can you touch on your real estate investments?
Yeah, so I'm a beginner. I'm definitely going to say it's not my unique ability and what I specialize in, but I love the idea of passive income. The fact that I like even rental cash flow. I love that idea. I've never in the last 5 to 7 years of trying to start to figure it out. But up till like I'm 57 now, up to 50, I was basically floundering. I'm making a lot of bad investments, not investing properly, not investing for the long term, listening to the news and listening to a lot of BS that they try to put on you. And in the last 5 to 7 years, I think I've started to at least get a handle on things. I'm still considering myself a beginner. I have a couple of rental properties. I don't even consider them rental properties. I consider them ownership properties that I own that I happen to rent. So, because all these properties are things that I consumed at one point, and I'm just not a seller. I don't like selling things. So I just bought it and I just started renting even the last 3 or 4 years, and I love it. Oh my God, it's so much fun.
Can you talk to? Can you share about what type of what
Yeah.
kind of owner properties you call them? You call
like,
these
like
that you
like
rent out?
yeah, like I said, everything I have now I own because I consume it. I consumed it at one point, and I still consume some of them. So the first one is my house, obviously. I thought about Airbnb it, but the thought of having strangers, I wasn't too hot on that. So and I also have a place up at Friday Harbor, which is in Isville Barrie area, and that I consumed heavily, and I left it vacant for 9 months a year because I mean, who goes up there during the winter? It's basically just a summer place, and now I rent it 9 months a year, and I get $2,400-$500 a month cash flow. So I'm so happy. Like it was literally just sitting there. So that I'm really happy about. And the other one was my condo downtown. I actually bought it back from my ex who bought it, and now I rent that as well for I think around 24 and change. Yeah, and plus utilities. So that's really and I consume that as well. I used to go downtown to whenever I went to a business meeting, and I still do, or a hockey game. It's 16 Young, basically, right? Scotiabank, um, the hockey arena, and I always parked there, and I would consume it whenever I went downtown. But why I'd only go downtown like maybe once a month. So why? And I didn't rent it, so I just started renting it about 4 or 5 years ago, as I said, and now I'm getting close to $2,500 a month for that. So I'm really happy about that as well.
Hmm. And you get free parking whenever you go downtown.
That's the main thing. That's the key thing. So the free parking, and plus when I go to a hockey game, there's a pool, so I'll work out before and I'll go to the pool, and I'll feel like refreshed when I go to a hockey game. Sorry, my last property is I don't know if you want to call it a rental. My whole co owns it, and that's the place that we run my business from, Home Painters Toronto, and I originally thought of it just because we're sick of renting and sick of the fact that we had to keep moving every 3 or 4 years and it'd be just so disruptive for the business. So I eventually purchased it. And then I can't remember, one of my masterminds was saying, Brian, we can actually, use something to make cash flow from. I said, well, how? Well, spray booth was the most popular thing back then because we spray kitchen cabinets. We'd have to not rent it out. We'd have to sub that out. So eventually I learned how to do it in house. And now we use that for spraying cabinet. So now it's a cash flow generator. Yeah, 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 exactly. I was so happy about that. And interesting enough, I used to use it for the office for the admin, but since COVID, I haven't. But we still use it for the spray booth and the store things. So it's great. It's not costing me money; it's making money. So that was a very worthwhile, let's say, mastermind.
I love it. I love the mastermind. I love the entrepreneurship and the creativity to generate revenue from stuff that you didn't plan on generating revenue from.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And now that well, this was a bad year, but I mean, I was up to this year, I was looking to invest in some U.S. real estate as well. That's definitely on the horizon in the next year or so, based on cash flow, of course, and we'll see how that goes. So I'm slowly branching out and becoming more, I won't say sophisticated, but a little more risk tolerant and taking some better bets. So, to me, 50 years doing the wrong thing and then finally I'm starting to figure it out. It's okay. I mean, it takes what it takes.
You're so humble because I know you well and I know how successful you are.
Well, thanks.
Now, how do you manage quality across 30 plus subcontractors? As that's a question that I think all real estate investors would struggle with during
Yeah.
renovations. And
So
also,
interest.
you're talking about them being spread out all over the city.
Yeah. So interesting enough, I used to run a sub model before, like 20, for about 25 plus years, give or take. And I just found that it wasn't giving the customer the best experience because I'd have some really good subs, but sometimes, subs are subs. And when you have employees, in-house people, you have a little more control over things, actually a lot more control over things in terms of their day to day as well as how they run their things. And now I have SOPs. For example, we put paper down on something as simple as putting paper on the floor versus drop sheets and plastic. I mean, that is huge because when you walk into a house, when you see paper on the floor, automatically you think, well, these guys are serious. They're not here to mess around. And the chances of getting paint underneath paper is virtually impossible. Whereas if you got plastic on, specks here, it moves, drop sheets move, they move around. The chance of getting a speck on a floor is a lot higher. So just something as simple as that, forcing my guys to do that like a typical SOP is really important. The other thing is we have weekly calls, pictures. Every day I ask them to send me pictures so I can spot things if there's issues going on. So I have a lot more handle on things, whereas before it was kind of more up to the sub based on that. So
Right.
not that subs are terrible, but it's just the chances of something going wrong is a lot higher. So that's why a lot of people don't like working with subs.
Right. Well, understand most real estate investors do not have an in-house staff.
Yeah.
Everything is subcontracted.
Yeah.
And also, just from my own personal experience, if I don't see people using at least drop sheets,
Yeah.
I'm not happy because I know what kind of damage they're gonna do to my floors wearing their
Yeah.
work boots and whatnot.
Yeah.
And then that's all dust, dirt, yeah, whatever else.
Yeah, and realistically, like a lot of painters don't like have a lot of bad habits, and so just retraining them in that aspect, like on the basics, sometimes can be a little bit more difficult. But in the long run, oh my God, it saves you so much more in terms. First of all, the customer experience, quality, customer complaints, all that stuff. It just plays into it. And now I think last 5 to 7 years, I say this is the most efficiently for quality and quantity that I've run the business, and it's so much easier. I can do things like EO and hang out with you more now that I have this model that I have now.
Right. And then does someone else inspect the work
Yeah.
before? Yeah.
So we used to have like field managers that used to sub inspect the subs, but now the crew leaders do their own inspecting. So we always have, like, for example, the last 2 hours for to go around, collect garbage, clean up, and stuff like that. Then they send us pictures in our WhatsApp to so we can see the before, during, after. We can also use it in our social media when necessary. And we ask them to send us what do you call it? Those speed up videos for our social media as well. So they're kind of more self-contained units the way the crews work now, whereas before they were more like subs, go out there, hope everything goes well, and then the field manager's there to save the day should there be any problems. I literally don't need a field manager, maybe 1 or 2 visits a month on the more complicated projects, but I don't need a field manager in this model because it's accountability on the job too. So I hold the crew leaders accountable for their own jobs directly, and plus I have control, like I said, over the SOP aspect. Because I talk to my customers all day long, and I hear them, and if any issues come up, then I can incorporate that within the SOPs to make sure that doesn't happen again.
Right.
So
For listeners' benefit, SOP is an acronym for Standard Operating Procedure.
yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
Now, how can an investor ensure that good work is done? Uh, Inspecting a pay schedule. What would your recommendation be?
I think the inspection, well, first of all, I would say right at the start when you meet the sales rep or the owner or whatever, set the expectations of what you want, what you don't want. That's the first thing. Start there. And then if it's something important, like really important, I would make them write it in the contract. Um, and then definitely, I highly recommend meeting them the first day of the job, whoever's there, the crew, the first hour, just set the expectation again one more time, because sometimes it's like we get to our customers usually within 1 week or less, but sometimes the sales cycle between the sale and the job starts can be 2-3 weeks, and then things can get lost. And then, of course, routine inspections. I mean, it's a lot to ask for you to do it every day, but let's say if it's a 5 day job, I might recommend going the first, third, and last day, something like that. But the reason why, and I tell customers this, I said, you're spending like anywhere from $2,000 to $10,000. Like, would you do that just blindly, expect everyone to know exactly what you're thinking? Chances are no. So I said, I don't expect you to even be here the whole time. Just have a check in, and we like the customers to come by, once every 3 to 5 days, just to make sure everything's going exactly how they want. Everything from colors to prep to this to that, and because at the end of the job, if they're not around at any point, there's a high risk that something's gonna be off, and it's better to catch that during the job than after the job. So
I'm thankful I did some of those things.
uh,
Full disclosure, Brian did paint one of my properties just recently, and I didn't do everything you just said, but I did check it out before when everything was done before I issued the final payment.
yeah, I try not, like, I mean, you don't want to bother people, especially if they're not living. Most of our customers are living there, or if they're not living there, they're within close. They're not that far away. Um, there are situations like yours where you're just literally just start and then finish. Those ones are a little more risky in terms of something going wrong. But in terms of that, I was just making me in those situations. I just tell my guys, just really be careful. Send me pictures every day, because I kind of know what customers look for, and I kind of know how they're thinking. So just by pictures, I can know, okay, watch out for this, watch out for this, watch out for this. So that really helps too in situations like yours when the client can't literally not living there and they don't have time to go by. So we do the picture thing, worst case scenario. Yeah.
So I don't think I don't know if I shared with you. I put the house up for rent on a Friday. I had a blind offer, a full ask on Saturday.
Wow, great. Awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, so this is the other thing that I'm work with so many buyers and sellers and clients that like yourself that are renting. I know how to, well, I kind of know just from trial and error from over the years what renters and what buyers look for. So the number one thing I tell customers is their front door and that first entrance area, living room, kitchen area, most important area. If you hit that area and if they're happy, chances are they might go upstairs, and but if they're not happy with that entrance area, you're going to run into trouble. That's
Yeah,
what
it's actually
yeah,
yeah. It's your suggestion to paint the front door. I wasn't planning on doing it
yeah.
because you knew me. I was trying to save money and cut
Yeah,
corners.
yeah. So here's the thing: there's a lot of ways to cut corners on when you're, let's say, if you're selling, and the number one thing, bang for your buck, is the walls. Hit the walls first. Um, lighten them. I'll just name some colors that we all commonly use. Decorators white, OC25, cloud cover. I think we did yours in silver satin. So anything on those lighter, neutral, earth tone grays are really popular, and you can never go wrong with them. And then trim indoors is more expensive to do. So I would recommend not doing those unless they're really beat up. And if you do, they are beat up, I would just touch up, just go around, touch up where the real obvious areas are. That's usually on the baseboards. Again, entrance areas where you take off your shoes when those are beat up. So maybe hit those baseboards and just touch up, because trim can cost us, let's say on a typical 2,000 square foot house, can run you up to $1,000, $1,500. You could do a touch up for under $200-300. Just go around, touch, 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 touch for a couple hours, and you're done. And you'll get most of your um, hit most of the areas that most people look at, which is, like I said, the entrance area, kitchens, bathrooms. Those are the areas that most people look at. In your bedrooms, usually it's in good shape. Like who beats up their baseboards in that? And in the smaller rooms, like living room, you're not going to beat up your baseboards there. But it's just the entrance area, as I said before. Ceilings are the least important, and the only reason unless there's, of course, there's a leak or something, no one comes in the house and just goes, "Oh, you know what? Your ceilings are beautiful." So they just don't do that unless there's something wrong with them, or they're really discolored, or smokers, or some stain on it. Ceilings are your least bang for your buck, and closets as well. Most of the time, people don't want, like, have stuff in the closet, and so I'd say if you want to save money, those are the places to save it.
It's actually funny in the house that you painted for me. None of us noticed that we had a previous leak from the laundry room,
Yeah, yeah,
and none of us noticed the ceiling until like 3 weeks ago.
Oh,
We're
really?
like,
Okay.
damn, we should ask Brian to paint this.
Yeah, so we could come back and literally touch that up pretty quickly. Yeah,
But again, nobody noticed it.
yeah.
And I got
You,
full rent. I got full. I get my rent is full asking, so like I
oh,
have no
awesome.
complaints.
Amazing.
And again, the tenant didn't notice it during the walkthrough either.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Now, one
Base.
mistake I
So go ahead.
find. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say basements usually are places that people don't tend to be as picky about as well. Functional things like door handles, obviously we do that. So if you do hire a painter, ideally they can do those small things because getting a handyman to do those small jobs is pretty hard in Toronto. But yeah, ideally if they could do it all in one quickly, efficiently is crucial. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So
But
you're offering a bit of a one-stop shop then.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Again, out of customer needs, so many times I've been in a paint job. They say, "Oh, I can't do it until we do fix this wall or fix this door handle or fix with this whatever." I'm like, listen, let me just get someone to do it for you, and then eventually it was worth it to hire. So we have 2 carpenters on staff full time with us now.
What else is the scope of your handyman service?
Anything finishing, so trim, baseboards, door frames, doors, jambs, stucco removal, flattening. Interesting new thing was brick stain. Brick staining is huge. Not necessarily for staging, but customers paint bricks. And instead of paint, now I'm saying, no, don't paint bricks. You're going to ruin them. Use stain because it allows the brick to breathe. And it looks much better too. So brick staining, anything to do with finishing, no electrical, no plumbing, and no structural. Although I have subs that I
Right.
would allow customers to do that work
Right.
as well.
So nothing you need a license for.
No, 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 nothing. Yeah. Floors were also very good at it as well. Not like we're not going to floor your whole house, but we're good at fixing things. So if there's like a floor or a transition that needs fixing, um, we're using a lot of vinyl now, vinyl flooring. So that's very popular when people are selling. They just want it to look well, cheap, efficient, lasts. Vinyl, we're doing lots of vinyl flooring. Um, Anything to do with plaster, drywall, a lot of drywall, plaster, lath and plaster in Toronto. Yeah, a lot of that. So skim plastering, stucco ceilings removal, which is huge now. People are getting rid of them, like for the flat look. It's expensive. It's not cheap, but
Yeah.
it's very popular. Yeah,
That's for
and
people's personal properties and not rentals.
it's true. That's very costly for that. The number one thing I would say though is exterior wood repair. There's so much rotting in Toronto because of the weather. It's freezing cold in the winter and blazing hot in the summer. Ruins your wood, and we do tons of that during the summer months. We spend, I'd say 75-80% of our handyman on exterior wood rot. It's just insanely busy for that part of the job.
Another reason why I like investing in the States. It's not as humid,
Yeah,
not as cold.
for sure.
Oh, actually, hope the listener was listening and taking notes because you dropped a lot of really golden nuggets there. Like a mistake that a lot of us made, like over 10 years ago, is we did a lot of laminate
Oh, yeah,
flooring, and
yeah,
that was really costly because it just absorbs water like a sponge if any dampness is left to sit there.
yeah,
And in my experience, tenants are just generally rougher on homes than homeowners are. And
yeah,
so standing water was a common thing from like wet boots, snowy wet boots, for example. And the
yeah,
laminate would just balloon up, ruined, cost really expensive. Hence,
yeah.
vinyl plank is the best practice everywhere, I find, at least for people in the know.
Interesting enough, I have kids and I'm looking to buy a dog, and my I was trying to decide between engineered hardwood and vinyl. I kept going back and forth and back and forth. And I eventually picked vinyl. I'm like, the kids, the dogs, I just don't want to risk it. And I'm so glad I did it. Even though it's a really high end rental that I did, I'm so glad I choose vinyl because it's pretty good. Like the more expensive vinyl is almost looks as good as hardwood. But the fact that I don't have to worry about scratching it every time I move something or whatever, it's just so much less stress.
Actually, it's a good segue for my next question. What
Yeah.
are some of the biggest mistakes real estate investors make when hiring painters or handymen?
Um, so when they come to me, they'll want to do things that I think there's not a lot of return on investment. For example, they'll I don't know, do accent walls, darker colors, or stuff that's personal to them. I'm keep saying, well, if you're selling, there's no disrespect to you, but the chances are the average person's not going to like that color. So I would say picking colors or doing things that's good for them versus what's good for the average purchaser. So I tend to say, like I said, walls, that's where your biggest bang for your buck. Maybe some baseboards here, touch up some trim. Don't do things like remove stucco ceilings, unless it's like really brutally bad or for some reason I wouldn't invest my money there. Painting weird colors. Exterior, I would keep it simple as well. All less is more. So less colors the better. So don't go too crazy with how many. Keep it simple. White, black for the outsides. Something simple. Um, or something that goes with the east trough or goes with the area that you're in. What else do they do? Though the other thing is they'll leave things undone. For example, um, trim, like they'll leave a piece of trim off, which can make something look terrible. So little things like that make a big difference. And I would say focus on the main floor. The bedrooms, closets, basement do last. Like if there's no more money, then of course, so if there's money, then go for it. The bedrooms and basements, but do those last because your first floor and the hallways is where, where customers are gonna or prospective buyers are gonna get their first, like, in terms of like nice intro to your house. So I would say those are the other things. And the other thing is leaks. So anything to do with stains or staining in the ceilings, crucial. So because it probably opens up a can of worms. Well, what if how when's like if they see leaking, they might say, okay, when was the roof done? Or if they see leaking in the window, they might say, well, how old are the windows? So kind of hitting those like potential problem areas as well, crucial, very crucial, because you don't want to open up a can of worms for the customer if they can help it.
And you work with realtors regularly, so you're hearing
Yeah,
this feedback regularly on how
regularly.
to. And the point of you going in there for the realtors is generally to optimize for sale.
Yeah, exactly. And the good thing about me is like because I kind of do most of my own sales because I love that part of my business. Actually, getting to know the realtors and which colors they like, why, and I'll even discuss it with them and say, I'm not sure if this would be the best situation because of this. What do you think? And sometimes they'll agree with me, sometimes they won't. But I kind of get to know their pet peeves and what they want and what they don't want, so I can kind of tailor everything to them. So it's really quick. It's a very seamless process in terms of getting them quotes. The other thing, I'm extremely fast. A lot of times they're calling me and say, Brian, when can you get in here and do this? If we want to stage the place and take pictures within the week, I'm like, yep, okay, I'll get there within 24, 48 hours. We'll have it done by this time. So yeah, I'm extremely efficient with that. A lot of contractors, by the way, for whatever reasons, they're just not set up to do anything speed wise. Um, in terms of getting them the quote, in terms of fulfilling on whatever the job is. So that's one of our huge uniques, is our speed in terms of getting them a quote and getting the job done as well.
Oh, I meant to mention another mistake I find novices do is they will replace kitchen cabinet doors
Right.
versus for my own property I had them painted. Can
Yeah.
can you talk to the painting process?
Yeah. So it depends on everyone. Every situation is different. But if you have really high end cabinets that have been banged up the heck, then painting them, the cost of painting versus replacing, you can't even compare. The average to professionally spray your cabinets can run anywhere from three till, let's say, 8 to 10 might be the high end. But in most cases, the average is 3 to 5K. And to replace them is going to be like anywhere from 5 times plus that. So, and kitchen and bathrooms, they say, are the two most important areas of the house in terms of making sure you get proper return on investment. So, the if you the brush sorry the other way is if you have a lower end or more of a rental type situation, brushing and rolling is obviously a potential way to go as well, and you can do that for half the price of spraying. So like I said, the average spray for a kitchen cabinet is 3 to 5K in Toronto. To brush and roll them is about 1 to 2K. So it depends on your situation, how high end they are and how perfect you want to make them. So but definitely versus replacing, painting's a no-brainer for kitchen cabinets, as well as your vanities. Vanities have the same situation, similar to that.
Right. So for listeners' benefit, I chose to have mine painted and rolled.
Yeah.
Again, wasn't a very a significant cost, but way cheaper than replacing.
Yeah, I think they were touched up before too as well. So once they've been painted by someone, brush and rolled, you kind of got to keep doing that. To spray it after that would be a significant cost, and sometimes the return on investment won't be quite as good as if you start from scratch.
Now, I want to ask an entrepreneur question. You've 8x your business and cut your hours.
Yeah.
That sounds like what every real estate investor landlord wants. More income, fewer headaches. What were the key systems that made that happen?
It's a long answer, but I'll try to condense it. I would say the first is realizing what I wanted and what my strengths and weaknesses were in the business. And then once I kind of defined that, it took me about, well, it took me 20 years, no, more like 30 years to do that. So once I figured out what my strengths and weaknesses and what I wanted to do, then I built the business around that. The other was I significantly cut my costs through virtual help. Most of my staff are in the Philippines, and I outsource. I'm not sorry, I shouldn't say outsource, but they're virtual. They're in-source, but they're outside of Canada. So that's what I mean by outsource. And I only have one main guy in my back end who I work with in Canada closely with, who runs the big show. Obviously, my painters are all Canadian based, and setting up the business, like I said, through um, the other thing was the system. So during COVID, we are forced to have less contact with them and be less hands on. So we are forced to use that system with the WhatsApp system, where, like I said, the sending pictures and then making the crew leaders accountable. That's when we switched our model there as well. Um, and I would say setting like finding I would say the number one was realizing there's two types of entrepreneurs. This was Dan Sullivan taught me. There's multipliers and there's simplifiers. Which one are you? And usually we're a little bit of combination of both, but there's always one that we tend to like gravitate towards and get more juice out of. And I get more juice out of simplifying. So once I figured out I'm a simplifier, I stopped saying, okay, well, why do I need to grow my business? I'm a simplifier. That's my strength. That's what I love doing. So what I did was I just basically simplified my business every quarter. Every quarter I would work on one or two nuggets, and I would just so slowly simplify it, make it better, more efficient, more profitable. And that kind of got to the point where I was like, why am I trying to do all these things I'm not great at just for the sake of doing it? Because it's the quote unquote nice thing to do when you're an entrepreneur. I'm not a multiplier. So why focus on that? Of course, if I got a multiplier and to help me, I could grow the business. But that again, I'm at my age, I was happy making the money I was making. And the other thing was my purpose. I figured out exactly what my purpose was. And in aspect of my family, like in terms of my purposes, like my legacy, where I wanted to be in 10, 20 years. So I figured out my purpose. And then so instead of chasing every next new sexy thing on the block, I was just focused on my purpose. And if everything led back to my purpose and it checked out okay, then I would do it. If it wasn't in congruence with my purpose, then I wouldn't do it, or I would try not to do it as much and outsource that. So figure out my purpose was also a huge game changer, because I don't know about you, but I get sucked into a lot of different things that I don't want to get, that I realize, oh, why am I doing this? And then you realize 6 months later you wasted all this time. So now I'm very more intentional about making sure where I spend my time and if it's congruent with my purpose,
Right.
vision.
And just to elaborate on what you're saying, like multiplier versus simplifying, like your business is still growing.
Yeah,
Like your trend, like your revenues are still growing, your profitability
yeah,
margin, I believe, continues to improve as well.
yeah,
It's just that you're not multiplying as in like saying like creating a franchise business.
exactly.
You're not in multiple cities. You're not across the country.
Yeah,
You don't have Home Painters USA,
yeah,
right?
exactly. And I even bought that domain by name. That's how crazy I was. But the point being is that that's where I get the most amount of power and juice and motivation and love for my work is simplifying. So I spend, I would say, 80 to 90% on simplifying, and then the 10, 20% I do on multiplying, because let's face it, we have to always be growing our businesses, but we don't necessarily have to be spending most of our time on it. Yeah, that was a huge game changer for me as well. The other thing is entrepreneurs. I don't know about you, but I'm always like have to be growing in some aspects. So growing doesn't necessarily have to be like five-folding your revenue every 3 years or whatever. It can be growing, bettering your systems. It can be bettering your profitability, bettering your SOPs, bettering your customers' experience. It doesn't have to always be just revenue based. So there's different ways of looking at growth, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Including growth of your profit and profitability. Like if you
Totally.
10x your profitability, isn't that sound better than 10xing your revenue?
Yeah.
10xing your payroll?
Yeah. And now like with ChatGPT, I'm trying to find bots and ways to even our SOPs, like our standard operating procedures, to make it so you have to ask chat before you ask me. So don't ask me a question unless you ask chat first, and then tell me the answer on chat. So we're trying to make it even more, um, let's say, automated and less me being involved in that aspect, the getting stuck in the weeds of the business.
Right. I was literally having that conversation with my assistant just yesterday.
Oh.
Like, I said, "What was the answer ChatGPT gave you?" She's like, "Oh, I didn't ask." I'm like, "Well, now because you didn't ask, I have to ask it
Yeah.
now." So I literally did a share screen with ChatGPT open. Like now, like at least, and like what point was I trying to teach her how I query,
Yeah.
right? How I write prompts,
Yeah.
so
So
that she
we're
can
on.
learn going forward.
Yeah. So we're on EOS. So now we do in our EOS, sorry, IDSing. That's the discovery where we go try to problem solve our issues. We actually use chat to problem solve first, and then we basically we use chat as the main, let's say the first one, and then we problem solve chat. Yeah, and then we problem solve chat. So it just isn't like it's another manager, another consultant, to free consultant to help us stay focused and save time.
Isn't it wonderful?
It's amazing.
Remember the world without AI?
I know. And now I use it for my personal stuff. Like whenever I'm having a whatever brain thing, I'm just like, well, this is how I'm feeling. Am I being too unreasonable here? Or I use it for my personal stuff. So it's amazing.
Well, I went through it with you to create the questions for this podcast using ChatGPT.
Amazing.
See, anyone can be a podcast host. You just need ChatGPT to write the questions for you.
That's amazing.
Uh, so again, so you were used to working with a large crew. How do you make sure that people are on task and accountable? I think it's a really good nugget for investors to take away because generally investors are doing many renovations all the time.
So interesting enough, that's not my unique ability. So I try to stay out of it. But what I do as like when I implore upon my managers and like we want to call them head crew leaders, we'll call them. Like I just say, make sure this is done, like the SOP of putting a lawn sign up, um, clean job site, making sure clean up after yourself, take garbage away, stuff like that. So they do all that nitty gritty stuff. And then there's when I onboard my painters, like I do actually, in terms of my painters, I do want to get to know them like somewhat because it's not a huge business, but I want to make sure they're understand what success is. So for me, it's like the culture, making sure you get along with everyone, making sure you get along with the customer. Customer comes first. Quality comes first, speed second. So speed, yeah, you do it in time, great, but most important, it has to be done this way and in this quality. So setting the expectations for my employees was probably the number one, as well as the having delegating that part of the job away that I wasn't like I kind of get frustrated with when it comes to the nitty gritty of day-to-day tasks of that. But if you're a homeowner, if you're an agent, I would think just making sure you set the precedent right at start. This is what I need from you. This is what success looks to me. Boom, 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 boom. This is what success doesn't look to me, and this is what would drive me crazy. Boom, 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 boom. And if you set the expectations, I think the chances are better that you might get your outcome that you wanted. Yeah.
And then what if a subcontractor leaves the site messy? So there's still garbage there, or there's
Happens.
spots there's spots missing that they
Yeah.
forgot to whatever.
Yeah.
How do you how's that work?
Yeah. So how we work is pictures can only say so much. So I can't always be there around every job site. And the other thing is inspection. So we try to plan with the customer to be there at the like within 2 hours of the ending of a job, so we can walk through them. If they can't, like I said, it's a little more risky because then you're dealing with pictures. Um, and garbage is the number one thing that drives me crazy with my guys because sometimes they don't always take it all.
Me
So
too.
I'm
I had an electrician leave their empty Tim Hortons cups
yeah,
in my right in front of my panel.
yeah. And be honest, I mean, it happens. It happens. These guys sometimes they're working all day, they're tired, it's hot, and they're not always thinking. So it's just every meeting, just reminding them. And the other thing, this is the one place where I try to give them a little bit of breathing room and say, if there's a problem, there's too much garbage, which happens on bigger homes when we're drop shipping, call my guy, nearest guy in the area, and we'll help you do it together. So rather than get overwhelmed and just leave it there, so use help. So we do that every Tuesday in our meetings, especially on the bigger jobs. 3 days before the end of a bigger job, because most of our jobs last only 5 days, like they're smaller jobs, but smaller to medium. But if it's a bigger job, then I know garbage is piling up. So then I'll say, okay, take it away each day. Take 3 or 4 bags each day rather than wait till there's 15 bags at the end. And it's like, I can't take all this.
So what's next for you in Home Painters Toronto? Any expansion to investor focused services?
Interesting enough. I'm just trying to making sure I keep up with chat in the world and stay on top. And I'm using it more like a lifestyle business, but I am very involved. Don't get me wrong. But I spend equally as much time with family and EO and social. EO is a group we're part of that we tend to network and learn from each other. By the way, and on the social and the personal, I'm a lot more balanced, and because of that, I show up. I think I'm showing up better every day for my customers and my employees. So it's to be more balanced. Whereas before in my first 50 years of living, I was very unbalanced. It was all work, 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 which is great. But then I think that if I can balance things better, then I'm a lot happier and a lot more. I show up better for my customers, employees, and even suppliers.
Now, from a business perspective, I'd suggest the listener like Google best home painter in Toronto, and then you'll find Brian's business pretty quickly. And I think it's something that's really important that all business owners understand is there's always a marketing aspect to their company, and you spend a lot of time on that,
Yeah,
not just optimizing for Google, for search engine optimization, paid ads, but also now a lot of us are focusing on being a LLM, large language model optimization. So
yeah,
like the Google search engine optimization for AI tools like Gemini, like Grok, like ChatGPT. That is
yeah,
the current stage that at least the folks that you and I are that we're doing and people that we respect are doing as well.
yeah. So the one takeaway I would say from that is that I've learned over the years is just knowing my customers, speaking to them. There's not too many days I don't speak to a customer. I'm always getting feedback. Why did you choose us? Why didn't you choose us? Why would you choose this? And what didn't you like? What did you like? Was my assistant helpful? Did this? So I ask them questions all the time, getting feedback on a daily basis on what's going on out there because they're my lifeline. And the more I can kind of hook up in terms of like get into their DNA, their strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, they say in strategic coach, and become that and then live it and then solve their problems and become like their antidote or whatever, their answer to whatever issues they have has been really, really, really helpful as me as a marketer. So simple, just get to know my customer inside out, know what their pain points are, what they're looking for, what they're not looking for, all those things, and just being on top of that and being relentless with that because it changes. I've found over the years it's changed. Usually it doesn't change immediately, but over 6 months, a year, 2 years, things slowly change and their needs change. And if you're on top of that as a marketer, then you're going to dominate in whatever industry or whatever you're doing because you're solving their problem first and you're being ahead of the curve. And most people, realistically, I don't think are on top of it as much as they could be. So the chances are I see yourself being really successful in whatever you're doing.
Speaking of, you have a really good newsletter. I got an email from you 2 weeks, I think it was 2 weeks ago, about 7 ways to save on painting your home.
Yeah, yeah,
To your detriment, you're giving us tips on how to
totally.
get better pricing.
Yeah. So the number one, well, not the number one. One of the things that I learned was customers love it when I'm giving them like the trust level just goes through the roof when I'm actually telling them the truth versus what I want just to sell them a paint job. So when I actually tell them things, you know what, I could say this, but I'm not going to, and this is why. I find it's better in the long run. Customers trust you more. They're longer. They repeat business. They come back to you. They ask you questions, and if you could be their trusting on whatever it is, for me it's contractor, then the chance of them wanting to do business with me is a lot higher, or refer me for that matter. So yeah, so anything I can do to help them. Obviously, you don't want to be but actually works in the opposite effect that I can actually charge more. Not that I go out of my way to charge more just for that, but it gives me the ability to charge what I think is reasonable, or so I can keep up with the costs going on in our industry, and making sure that that we can do everything they want. Most of my at least my target audience, my most customer target audience customer want to pay as long as they're getting value and they're getting solving their problem, they don't mind paying. But if they're overpaying, or they feel like they're getting ripped off, or you're doing things that aren't necessarily necessary, then who wants to pay for that? So my target customer does want to pay though. So in that aspect, I'm kind of lucky.
I think it's always been a commonly known thing that painting is usually your highest ROI renovation.
Sure, definitely. Well, it's the first impression, right? So it's what you see.
You mentioned costs. Can you talk to how costs have been trending the last 5-10 years?
So paint costs
Both
have been
labor
going.
and paint. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting enough. Before COVID, it was kind of medium. During COVID, the 3 years, it was like through the roof. It was insane what everyone wanted. And now, in the last 2 years, it's come down significantly. So now it's back to normal, actually, I'll say 2018, 2019 levels. So interesting
Even
enough,
paint and labor.
paint has always gone up. Labor, I'm talking. Labor is the biggest cost, by the way. So in a average paint job, uh, paint is 10%, materials 10%, labor is 90. So to me, it's mainly the labor that kills you.
Right.
So, but labor was up through the roof during COVID, and it's come back down to normal. So if you were to get your paint job done now versus 3 years ago, you're going to get definitely a better price, or back to 2018-19, which is the way it should be. COVID was a little unusual in the fact that things went through the roof. Everything was 20-30% more. It was insane. Yeah.
And with the market slower, like I love value, I love deals.
Yeah.
So my thinking is I would get if I needed paint right now, do that now rather than later.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Now's the time with COVID, but it's funny enough, people had money during COVID, and now people don't have as much money. So it kind of works in the reverse way. But now if you have money, no, now's the time to be spending on trades or renovations. COVID was the worst time, to be honest, unfortunately, but live and learn. Things aren't going to go up forever.
Yeah, just like real estate.
Well, it's gradual. Gradual is okay, like normal inflation. But I mean, 30-40% in a year for whatever reason, no, that's not right. No wonder there's so much inflation.
So where can people learn more about Home Painters Toronto?
You can call us directly, 416-494-9095. Email me at sales@homepainters, plural, toronto.com. Sales@homepainterstoronto.com. Or at our website, www.homepainterstoronto.com. And I'd love to hear from you.
Right, you have some social media as well. You have a YouTube channel. You have a
Yeah.
pretty successful YouTube channel. Do you know?
Yeah, it was even more successful before I got hacked, but we're coming back slowly and surely. That's the other thing. I don't look at business as like a 1 year like boom 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 thing. I'm looking at it as like incremental 1% a week thing. So we're coming back with our YouTube and social media slowly. Yeah, because we got hacked, but now, yeah, I know. We're coming back slowly but surely.
And YouTube is tough to recover after a hack.
Sorry. Yeah.
It's not tough.
Oh my God, it was insane. I
Because
almost
most hacks are meta. usually Instagram and Facebook usually gets hacked. It's just what I usually hear.
Yeah.
Also YouTube.
Yeah, we had over 1,000 subscribers before, but I think with what I'm going to be doing in the future, I think I'm going to I'm even more motivated and talk about growth to be pumped up and increase our subscribers and our outreach in the industry and in the market. Yeah. I like
And then
Facebook as well.
And then on your website, you because you said I asked you to add me to your newsletter. How do people get added to your newsletter?
They just got to put opt in, and you don't even actually. It's good. That's a good point. Not too many people just come and opt in, but they just got to opt in, and then you're on a drip automatically. Even if you don't get a quote from me, say, "Hey, Brian, I'm just opting in to see how I'm doing."
And people can get a free estimate, and free
Yeah,
quote.
yeah. If you notice a lot, like I changed this during COVID as well. I try to make it more personal because simplification is the name of the game for me, and I want to be a part of my business. I love the aspect of helping customers, and our slogan is "We paint homeowners' dreams," and I take that very seriously because, um, like I said, when I first started university, I wanted to just run a business, period. But the fact that I could change people's lives and make a difference in their lives, and I've seen the influence on that, and it's just it's priceless.
Fabulous. All right, homepainterstoronto.com. All
Yeah,
right, Brian.
yeah.
Brian, any final words you'd like to share?
No, I just love to hear from you. So if you have anything to say, I'd love to get your feedback on things. And if you need any help on, even if you're not in the GTA, Toronto area, I'd be happy to help you. Just throw me an email. If you need some tips on something, don't know everything, but I know a lot from being 37 years in the business. I'd be happy to help you.
Yeah, I have a client that has a stucco issue. I'm gonna ask you to stay on
Yeah,
after the recording.
yeah, we do that too. We do that too.
Awesome. Thanks, Brian. Thanks so much for doing this.
All right. Thanks for having me.
All right, friends, that wraps up another episode of the Truth About Real Estate Investing show for Canadians. Hope you got as much out of this one as I did. Remember that whether you're just starting out or a seasoned investor, there's always something new to learn, and it's always about building that practical knowledge base that gets you closer to financial freedom. If you found value today, please do us a favor and leave us a review or a rating, share this episode with a friend, or better yet, join our community of real estate investors who are taking action and making moves. And hey, if there's a topic you want us to cover, or there's a certain guest you'd like us to have on the show, drop me a line. My DMs are open on social media. Reply to this email that this has arrived on. I'm not hard to find. You know, we're all about getting you the unfiltered truth to help you on your journey. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next episode. Until then, stay smart, stay curious, and keep building that future. Catch you later.